The following information is intended for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Rood International nor this broadcaster. Should you choose to implement this information, please do so only with the assistance of a licensed medical professional. Neither the presenter, Rood International, nor this broadcaster assume any responsibility for any adverse effects or consequences that may result.
If you're like most people, your first step in getting healthier is to adopt a better diet. Drink more water, exercise more, and reduce some stress. These are all good things, but almost no one considers the most important thing: their mouth. Dental work, dental products, and bacteria balance in your mouth can either help or sabotage everything else you're trying to do to get healthy. Today, we're going to talk about oral pathology with our guest, Naturopath Olin Idol. He's about to give you a health awakening.
Most of it.
All right, well, welcome to the Health Awakening. I'm your host, Scott Laird. Before we get started today, we need to start thinking differently about disease. Disease is never cured by cutting something out or taking a drug. These things never truly cure anything. They simply address a symptom. To truly address disease, we need to address the cause of the disease, which is almost always traced back to a single cell that malfunctioned. There are many reasons why cells malfunction. Much of the time, it goes on for a long time before symptoms are significant enough to let us know that something is not right. Cancer, for example, can grow for a decade before we even realize it. Naturally, we want to take preventative measures to eliminate every potential cause for malfunctioning cells and the diseases that result. We eat better to strengthen our cells and reverse aging. We exercise to keep our blood flowing and vibrant. But what most people don't realize is that a major secret to keeping cells healthy is keeping their mouth healthy. Here to share more on that topic is Naturopath Olin Idol. He is Vice President of Health of the world-famous Hallelujah Diet. Welcome to the show, Olin.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure to be with you.
Right, but just before we get started, a lot of people believe that if they have a certain genetic makeup, they're going to get this disease, period, no way around it. What is the real role of genetics in disease?
Yeah. Unfortunately, most people are told that, if you have cancer in your family, you have heart disease, you're most likely going to get it. You're a candidate for it. And, without a doubt, we all have certain genes that are weaker than others. I like the way Dr. Dan Chestnut phrased it, that genes of our DNA control everything. But then he asked us, what controls genes? And basically, nutrition controls our genes and the environment and the things we're exposed to. So we may have a genetic tendency toward heart disease, but that gene doesn't have to express itself. There's things we can do to prevent it from expressing. And I find it very tragic. A few years ago, there were some of the celebrities, they were having mastectomies because they had a gene for breast cancer, and even locally, I heard of some folks having that done. I think it's tragedy that we remove body parts in an effort to prevent something that could be prevented some other way, and we don't have to resort to that.
Right, and that's kind of counterintuitive in the first place, because you don't, like what we said in the beginning of the show, is by cutting something off, you're not getting rid of the problem, because disease is systemic. You don't cut off, you don't take out a spark plug and think you've fixed the vehicle.
Absolutely. And it's a shame we've developed that mindset that we cut off parts or we chemically treat things to destroy them. When in reality we're destroying the immune system, which really is designed by God to keep us well. He gave us a self-healing body. We simply need to provide the conditions that are conducive to healing.
Right, and by doing so, we can, like you said, with genes, nutrition and how we live our lives can either turn on or turn off genetic expression. I think T. Colin Campbell brought that point home in his book, The China Study, where by feeding rats certain things and then changing their diet, they could literally turn genetic expression on and off.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now what is the most prominent underlying factor in the development of chronic disease, or what is one of them? Is oral pathology what we're getting at here? Is that one of them?
I believe we are learning today that oral pathology is really a major factor in up to 85% of chronic illness today. At one time, we related it closely to heart disease and cancer, but now it appears that it's a major factor in just about, probably, as I said, 85% of chronic disease today.
Wow, so how does that happen? How does what happens in your mouth control what happens in your body as far as disease goes 85% of the time? That's an astronomical number.
Well, and when we look at what is involved in oral pathology, there's several aspects of it. But back in the 1930s, mid-1900s, Weston Price was beginning to learn the impact that our oral health had on our overall physical health. But his line of thinking was rejected, so much as traditional thinkers believe those outside of the realm of traditional medicine are off track. But today we're beginning to learn that he was right on track with what he was learning way back then.
What was he learning? What was one of the first things that brought him to this conclusion or this hunch?
Well, he was spending a lot of time examining indigenous tribes in different parts of the country. And he found that the shape of the face and the diet all played a major impact on the health of their teeth, the health of their gums, and ultimately their overall health. So, and we learned today that I think traditional doctors are well aware that the health of the gums and teeth have some impact on the overall health, but they don't realize to what extent it does play a role.
Okay, and I think I remember that Weston Price study, and he found, to my surprise when I first read about it, was that the indigenous tribes, we think, oh, these people didn't have teeth or toothbrushes, they didn't have toothpaste, so how could they possibly keep their teeth healthy? But they had the straightest, healthiest teeth when they stuck to their indigenous diet. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. And they had round face, their mouths weren't crowded, they had room for the teeth to grow, and they ate a diet that was indigenous to them, and it best suited their needs of the body.
And then when foods foreign to them are brought in, that's over time, in subsequent generations, that's when the teeth began to get crowded and crooked, and the facial structure changed.
Right. Yeah, the Western influence had such a negative impact on all of these tribes when we get that Western influence on their diet.
Wow, very interesting stuff. Okay, well, we are talking with Olin Idol about the importance of oral health. We have to take a short break, but we'll be right back with more on this fascinating topic.
Michael Rood's Message of Truth is broadcast all over the world, but none of it happens without the monthly financial support of our Ambassador Club members. And right now, membership has more benefits than ever.
I'm giving into a ministry that is helping to feed other people that have the same hunger that I do.
The Ambassador Club stands out to me because Michael brings it forth with such zeal and life and truth. Who in the world else you gonna give to get the truth out and to share it with the world?
The Ambassador Club, we were given the opportunity on a monthly basis to know that we are giving our funds to a purpose that would make a difference, not only in our lives, but those around about us and in our world.
We're an ambassador because we feel like we're helping the world in a small way. And we feel so blessed that we could be a part of that.
Join now, and Michael Rood will send you the Ambassador Club Welcome Kit, an exclusive messenger bag stocked with teaching DVDs, Red Sea crossing cards to spread the word, and more. You'll also receive ambassador-only bonus gifts whenever you make a separate donation to receive the monthly love gift from Rood Awakening International. Best of all, you'll get ambassador-only sale prices in our online bookstore several times throughout the year. Plus, exclusive invitations to Ambassador Club functions at Rood Awakening events. Join the Ambassador Club right now. All it takes is a modest commitment of $100 per month or an annual gift of $1,200. We'll send your welcome kit right away, and you can start enjoying your love gift bonus items immediately. Call now or visit the Rood Awakening website to join the Ambassador Club.
All right, welcome back to the Health Awakening. Before the break, we were talking with our guest Olin Idol about oral health and its role in disease. And Olin, we had mentioned before the break that 85% of disease in general has something to do with the oral health. So what does periodontal disease do to impact our disease risk?
Yeah. I believe the periodontal aspect is one that most dentists and doctors are well aware of. And patients that have some heart valve issues, often before they go to the dentist for cleaning, they'll put them on antibiotics to keep bacteria under control so it doesn't infiltrate the bloodstream and have an impact on the valves of the heart. And a good illustration of that, if I might, is just a very brief article that appeared back in 1998 in the USA Today, and it was titled "Microbes That Bite Can Kill More Than a Smile." And it relates to, so the obituary said nationally known syndicated humorist Louis Grizzard died of heart disease, but there may have been more to it than that. He had bad teeth. He was a classic example of somebody whose chronic dental infection led to chronic heart disease, valve failure, and ultimately death. Doctors have known for years that dental infections pose a risk to heart valves, but new research suggests that dental infections also may be implicated in hardening of the arteries, heart attack, stroke, spontaneous preterm births. The research indicates the buildup of oral bacteria won't just wreck your smile, give you bad breath, and cost you your teeth. It may cause trouble a mile away, somewhere else in the body, says Dennis Mangan of the National Institute of Dental Research. To most people, periodontal trouble begins with painless symptoms, symptom-free infection at or beneath the gum line. And periodontal disease is generally associated with buildup of bacteria at the gum line. And as you are well aware, our body is host to trillions of organisms. They're on our skin, they're in our mouth, they're throughout our GI tract. We have a tube that starts in the mouth, runs throughout the body about 25 feet long. And that tube is inhabited by friendly bacteria as well as pathogenic bacteria. And when we keep things in balance, we enjoy good health. And research tells us about 80-85% of our immune system is found in the gut wall. The type of bacteria we have, the amount of bacteria we have, that all determines how our immune system functions. And our oral health plays a critical role in the balance of that bacteria. We have bacteria in our mouth, and using such things as harsh mouthwash can kill off the friendly bacteria, and it allows the undesirable bacteria to proliferate. And once that bacteria begins to get seated and situated in the gum line, filtrated into blood, it irritates the lining of the blood vessels and creates inflammation. And that inflammation damages those linings and arteries. That causes plaque to start building up and leads to hardening of the arteries and ultimately into cardiovascular disease. So this bacteria can infiltrate and have an effect on the valves and have a major impact on overall health, particularly cardiovascular health.
Wow, so plaque on the teeth can lead to plaque in the arteries. It's a good way to remember that.
Absolutely.
So now, amalgam fillings. There's been a lot of controversy over the last few years because these things are made with mercury. So how do they impact health risk? Dental infections aside, just the amalgams themselves.
Yes. Amalgam fillings are over 50% mercury. And mercury is the most toxic substance known to man, non-radioactive substance. And FDA's warned women years ago, if they're pregnant, don't eat tuna fish because tuna is contaminated with mercury. And it's a problem with most seafood today. But, they are aware of the dangers of mercury if we consume it, but they allow us to put that toxic element in our mouth, in our teeth, making up over 50% of those fillings. And when we chew and bite down on those teeth, those fillings release a mercury vapor that infiltrates the body and accumulates in the body. And again, the mercury is damaging to the artery linings. It has a toxic effect on the neurological system. We find Alzheimer's, MS, Parkinson's, ALS, sometimes seizures. All of these things can be impacted by mercury fillings.
And I've heard a dentist say, well, it's, mercury fillings are topical. They're not going to go into your bloodstream. But that's not really true, is it? I mean, anything you put topical is going to go into your bloodstream. Our body is a cohesive thing.
Oh, absolutely. And they have certain cameras that can measure the mercury vapor escaping from a mercury filling. And if a filling is removed, if it's intact, that is to be deposited in a toxic container in the dental office.
Really?
A friend of mine, a dentist who is very knowledgeable in this whole holistic arena, his wife lost much of her neurological function years ago working as a dental hygienist, just being exposed to the mercury in the dentist's office. So it's a terrible environment to be exposed in when a dental office is using mercury fillings.
I have a friend of mine who goes down to South America routinely. He does some mission work down there, but whenever he needs to have any kind of dental work, he goes down there. He goes down to Peru, and because they don't use amalgam fillings down there. And he asked his dentist, and he said, why don't you use amalgam fillings? And he says, I don't understand why you Americans use amalgam fillings. We stopped using those 20 years ago down in Peru. So it seems to be maybe just a North American thing that we keep using these things.
Well, it's tragic, but the American Dental Association has controlled the dental establishment for decades. And other countries, I believe Sweden is one of them, and several other countries, no longer use amalgam fillings. I mean, they have been way ahead of us for years. But even today, most dentists still use them. They're even discouraged from taking them out just for the sake of removing the mercury from your mouth.
Wow. Well, we're speaking with Olin Idol, naturopath, about oral health and the things that can pose a risk to your health, including amalgam fillings. We're going to talk about root canals next on The Health Awakening.
Michael Rood's Love Gift Teaching Series, The Ministry of the Messiah, is among his most popular series ever. And now there's a way to ensure you get every new episode every month. Introducing recurring love gift donations. When you set up a recurring love gift donation of just $100 per month, you'll receive every love gift every month automatically. You'll get Michael's latest teaching in the Ministry of the Messiah series and each month's bonus gift. Plus, as an exclusive extra, you can get any teaching you've missed in the entire series from the first episode to the current episode. This special offer is only for those who set up recurring love gift donations. Call now or visit the Love Gift webpage to set up your recurring love gift donation. Every teaching, every gift, every month. Plus, access to any teaching you've missed along the way. Do it now and never miss out again.
And welcome back to The Health Awakening. Before the break, we were talking about root canals and promised we would talk more about root canals. And during the break, we discovered that two people in the studio are scheduled to have root canals. Why, Olin, should we not be doing this?
Oh, we should run if a root canal is suggested. There's over 14 million root canals performed every year, over 40,000 each day. And a root canal tooth is one of the most toxic places in the body. They kill the tooth. They go in an effort to sanitize it, but in the front tooth, there's over 100 miles of tubules. They can't sanitize the tooth completely. And bacteria begin to develop and are harbored in those canals, and they gradually start infiltrating the body. And it may be 10, 20 years before you see the impact. But just a few years ago, we were associated with a group that did a thermal imaging of the face. And they did this for a number of years, but they never found a lady with breast cancer that didn't have either a root canal tooth or a cavitation on the same side of the body where the cancer appeared. You could see the inflammation in the jawbone, radiating down the neck and down toward the breast. Cardiovascular disease, you could see the radiation coming down toward the heart. That bacteria leaching into the system over decades creates just phenomenal problems. And Gerson Institute just a few years ago, well, not a few years ago, but for 50, 60 years, they've been treating cancer patients. And they said, if you've got cancer, if you've got a root canal tooth, get it pulled before you come down for treatment. You can't get well with a root canal tooth.
Wow. That is amazing. So the root canals have that much. Is it just that they go in there, they do what they think is right, and then they seal it off, and by doing so, the bacteria has nowhere to go, and it just goes into the body? Is that what happens?
Yeah, we leave a dead organ in the body, a dead tooth in the jawbone, just like leaving a dead organ in the body.
Okay.
And it begins developing bacteria, and antibiotics cannot get in and kill it. White blood cells can't get in and kill it. Hal Huggins discovered over 50 different types of bacteria in the root canal tooth. So he quit testing them. You never pull a root canal tooth that's not loaded with bacteria. And it's constantly infiltrating the body.
Now, you mentioned cavitations too. What risk does that pose?
Yeah, quite often when wisdom teeth are extracted, they don't clear out the periodontal ligament. The jawbone grows up and encapsulates that. We develop a socket in the jawbone that never heals, and again, bacteria develop and are infiltrating the bloodstream. Reason root canal teeth are a little more damaging is we're constantly chewing, and you put the pressure on the tooth, you're extracting that bacteria into the bloodstream where it goes out and creates havoc.
Okay, so we've mentioned all the things that are negative about this. What can we do about it? If we are scheduled for a root canal and we say no, choose to get an extraction, I guess, but what can we do to support the body's self-healing ability when we have these types of issues?
Yeah, when we have a tooth that is to the point they're saying it needs a root canal, it needs to be extracted. It's only safe option. Oral pathology in general is one of the biggest drains on our vitamin C stores in our body. And as humans, we don't produce vitamin C. We have to get it from our diet, or we have to supplement. So bacteria thrive when the vitamin C has been depleted in the body. So we need to keep our vitamin C levels restored, something like the liposomal vitamin C, which gets right into the bloodstream and into the cells. Even the powdered sodium ascorbate is a good way of keeping our vitamin C levels built up. So that helps support our immune system so that the oral pathology doesn't have as dramatic impact, and it doesn't impact us as quickly as it would otherwise.
Okay, so if you were to go to the dentist and you had this situation, you would take vitamin C before you went?
Oh yes, I would take vitamin C before I went for at least, well, I take it daily anyway, but I would ramp up on it before I had a procedure of that nature. I would use silver biotics, particularly as a mouth rinse after visiting the dentist. And I would use an oral probiotic, a chewable probiotic, to help put friendly bacteria back in the mouth.
Okay, and Howley Diet has all of these things, do they not? You have a new vitamin C product that's been out for just a couple of years now? That's
correct. We do have the liposomal vitamin C now. We have an excellent oral probiotic that has the Bliss K12 technology, which puts the good salivarius bacteria back in the mouth.
Okay, so this is the opposite of mouthwash, where you're going to kill everything, and of course the bad bacteria is the first to respond and take over. That's not going to happen. The oral probiotic is the one that keeps the balance in check.
Absolutely. You know, when we start doing things to kill off the bad bacteria, like antibiotics, the bad bacteria becomes resistant to that, and it begins to flourish. But not only, we're killing off the friendly bacteria. So we've got to do something to offset the damage and get that friendly bacteria restored.
Now, what else can we do supplement-wise to maybe avoid these types of problems in the first place? Is there anything we can do?
Well, the best thing we do is keep our mouth in excellent health. Regular brushing, flossing, regular dental cleanings, using something like the hydrofloss to clean them. And then, you know, if we want to rinse with silver biotics, that's excellent in killing the undesirable bacteria, but doesn't harm the friendly bacteria. And then using a good probiotic supplement, the Oral Health, or even something like a professional strength probiotic, which keeps the intestinal bacteria built up so that supports a healthy immune system.
Yeah, we have to remember that, don't we? That it, like you said in the very beginning of the show, that our bacterial system, if you will, begins at our mouth and goes all through our body. So we can't just treat the gut with a probiotic. We need to start where the problems begin.
Absolutely. And as we said, the body is a self-healing organism. We simply try to provide the conditions that are conducive to healing and support it the way God intended it to be supported.
All right. Okay. Well, we are talking with Olin Idol about oral pathology and the things you can do to keep your mouth healthy. And we'll have a little bit more advice right after this.
If you're like most people, watching Michael Rood's teaching on this stage was enough. You gave a donation or bought the latest teaching from A Rood Awakening International. But what happens on this stage is just the beginning. Your support does so much more. Let me show you. When you make a donation or a purchase from a Rood Awakening International, you enable us to send free teaching materials to less fortunate people all over the world. You're also helping to supply all of the materials necessary to burn the DVDs and Blu-rays and to support the people who put them all together and send them out.
In 3, 2, 1.
But before any of that can happen, your support does something else. This is our video editing and production department. Your support enables these professionals to use their talents to spread the gospel. Videos that gain and hold viewers' attention to understand the truth that they've been missing their entire lives. In fact, your donation does even more. All of the graphics you see on those videos, Michael Rood's famous biblical calendar, the newsletters you receive in the mail, and every email you receive comes from the communications department. Here too, your support enables these highly talented individuals to spread the gospel. And when you have a question about the Bible, or want to join the Ambassador Club, or just want someone to pray with, your support helps there too, employing our partner relations team, including people on the phones in North Carolina, Montana, California, and even Costa Rica. In fact, your support also empowers our entire international operations, promoting Michael's message in practically every Spanish-speaking country in the world. And it doesn't stop there. You're also enabling us to spread the truth throughout our operations in Europe and South Africa. So, the next time you make a purchase or a donation because of something you saw on this stage, remember that you're also supporting everything else that goes on backstage. Thank you for standing with us.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the Health Awakening. Before we go, Olin, if we want to stay healthy and keep our mouth healthy, what is one of the most important things we should be doing?
I think one of the most important things would be find a good holistic-minded dentist that doesn't use mercury in their practice. They're aware of the dangers of root canals and cavitations. And the best way I know to find one is go to Huggins Applied Science, get their phone number and call, and they can often refer you to a Huggins-trained dentist in your area.
Okay, so that is the general science by which people learn this thing is through the Huggins organization?
Dr. Hal Huggins was one of the forerunners in this, and he wrote a book, Uninformed Consent, which is excellent, but he's trained a lot of dentists, and that's an excellent starting point. For some of the resources, the liposomal C, go to the Hallelujah Acres website, myhdiet.com.
All right, excellent. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today, Olin. Our guest has been Olin Idol, naturopath and vice president of health for the Hallelujah Diet. You can catch the replay of this episode and see our complete show schedule on avivtv.com. For more information about Olin and how the Hallelujah Diet can support your health, go to myhdiet.com, as he mentioned. Olin, I want to thank you very much again for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
And we will see you again for another Health Awakening.